Hi, and thank you for joining me for another video. Friends, this week's Parsha is one of the most spectacular sections in the whole Torah. And in this week's Parsha, friends, Parashat Bo, we see God metaphorically stepping down. Why? Because as it states in the first parak, so that you can tell your children and your grandchildren how I dealt with the Egyptians, in order so that you can make them love me also, love God also. And actually, that's the way we fulfill the mitzvah of loving the Creator, as the Rambam brings down in Mitzvah Gimel of Sefer Mitzvah, that the only way to fulfill the mitzvah of loving God is by making others around you love Him also, to the point that the Rambam brings down that one only loves the Creator to the extent that they draw others to love Him. And one must ask, why is the Creator demanding this or anything of us, right? Friends, to give a proper response to this question, we have to put ourselves in the place of the Hebrews in this Parsha. They would have thought, all I've known since I was a child was pain and disappointment. They would have thought, redemption, it doesn't exist. And who is this God, and what makes him different from any other God in Egypt? Are they right, friends? Friends, the answer to this question did not begin in Parashat Bo, but it began in last week's Parashat Vayera, where God is not just talking, He's acting with every plague, every miracle, making Himself lovable by the Jewish people. And although it was Parshas Lech Lecha that gave birth to the Jewish religion, friends, it is Parshas Vayera, Bo, Bashalach, that has always been the foundation of the Jewish people, the parshiot of love, not of us loving God, but of Him loving us first. And later, friends, in Parshas Yisro, we will understand that true love cannot, my friends, exist without order. That's why the Almighty mandated the recitation of this story yearly, forever, actually, over the recitation of the Torah that was only recited every 7th year, in order to remind us that we can't outdo God, and the reason we should love Him is not because He has the power to destroy us, but because He loved us first. But not only do we read this story every year, we actually act it out every 50 years with the freeing of the slaves. Friends, this is our tradition. Not black hats and matzo ball soup, but these plain, simple stories that, if taken seriously, have the power to soften the hardest heart. To the point that we will see throughout Scripture that this will be God's trump card in history. How He reminds us virtually every time, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Reminding us again, Vayera, Bo, Beshalach, read it and tell it to your children. Because you don't have to experience it to embrace it. All you need to know is that it happened and it's possible. That the Almighty used the king of the most powerful empire of that time as a puppet, solidifying in the minds of every Hebrew the tales they grew up hearing, that their existence, if left up to nature, should not have occurred. The stories of how Sarah was barren, Rivka was barren, and their ancestor Jacob had to fight and ultimately rely on their Creator to secure his existence. Yes, friend, which has sparked every song of praise, from the Song of the Sea to the Psalms of David. They were all echoing this first redemption, which is why this story was one, if not the most inspirational story embraced by slaves in the Americas. Not because of the miracles, but because it shows that God cares for you and I in our darkest hour. That even though your enemy is Pharaoh himself, God is still sovereign. Which leads us to another principle, friends, that before you can teach anyone anything, you must first teach them how to love. And yet another principle is that being the recipient of such love comes with much responsibility. This, my friends, was the only authority the Almighty could wield on such a broken people at that time. Because we see only after this does God require anything of them. In other words, He only punishes them for His sins after the Exodus. Because can you imagine how nonsensical it would be for a holy God to punish a group of people who've gone through so much already? And that's why the prophet states that the Almighty drew Israel out of Egypt with kind words and bonds of love. Which brings us to another principle, which I believe is the most valuable one found in this Parsha. And that's that We don't believe in or follow God because he is all-powerful or omnipotent. No, friends, the reason we believe in God is because he first believed in us. And then, and only then, can we accept other attributes because they have been first validated through love. As the Rambam states in Hilchos Tshuva, that following God out of fear is the lowest form. In other words, we believe in God first and foremost because he's good, as described by this glorious act of redemption here in Parashat Bo, as it states in Isaiah, that the holy God is only made holy through righteousness. In other words, by doing good, which is exactly what he's trying to cultivate in us with the Hebrews leaving Egypt. So just as he loved us, we should love others. Like the Torah states, to love strangers. Why? Because we were once strangers in Egypt, disconnected, without a home, and the Almighty still found us worthy of his love. And again, friends, we must realize the ethical revolution that Torah started. Why? Because gods in the past did not behave like this. This was not the norm, which shows you that when man creates a religion, their God emulates them. They rape, they lie, they steal. But when the true God formulates a belief system, God becomes something to be emulated. But the sad part of this parsha, my friends, honestly, is that Chazal teach that not all the Hebrews left Egypt. As a matter of fact, some teach that the majority stayed behind and even died in the plagues, reminding us that pedigree is not enough. Actually, the Torah teaches that along with the Hebrews that did leave, that a mixed multitude of different peoples left with them, teaching us that even during the Exodus, the only currency accepted by the Almighty was ultimately belief. The idea that no matter your circumstance, no matter your past, you could choose life over death, blessing over cursing. Friends, you could choose to start anew. In other words, when you've tried everything, don't give up. Redemption is closer than it seems. And that's why the Creator states that Nisan will be your first month, alluding to the fact that everything that happened before didn't matter. That this is a new beginning. And friends, thank God for new beginnings. So friends, when you're feeling down, don't worry, just focus on these parshas to give you chizuk and encouragement. And if you're interested in learning more about Torah, Judaism, I want to welcome you to consider becoming a Jew yourself by conversion. For more information, please visit bejewish.org. And more information on actually converting to Judaism, please visit Torah Judaism International at torahjudaism.org. Thank you.